Welcome. I'm Dr. Perry Kiles. I am coming to you today with some extraordinary news, some hugely impactful news. This article is from the Smithsonian. It says archaeologists unearthed more than 40,000 pieces of pottery that ancient Egyptians used like scrap paper. What? Ancient Egyptians were using pottery like scrap paper? Well, not just any pottery, it's broken pottery. So instead of just throwing it out, ancient Egyptians sometimes practiced writing on it, practiced their demotic. They drew deities like Heru. They did accounting on these scrap pieces of broken pottery. I'll show you. And when these scrap pieces of broken pottery, when they're used for these purposes, like to write notes, to do math, handwriting exercises, they're called ostraca. The ostraca, some dating back to the time just before Cleopatra, were discovered within the ruins of ancient Athribis. And again, this is from the Smithsonian. This article was released March 24th, 2026. What's happening since the year about 2018, there has been a huge number of findings in Athribis. And I'll just show it to you on the map here in a moment, but it's near Abydos. So this was a huge find. And we want to thank Sanjay here for this article. This is one of the ostraca, and there is writing on this ostraca, but this is written in demotic. There are three major scripts of the ancient Egyptian language. The most popular hieroglyphs, the religious language, a language primarily used for ritual between the deities and also those with royal blood. And that was established before Norma united the two lands. That language was in existence. Now the second is hieratic. Hieratic also goes back to the Old Kingdom. Date Old Kingdom. There's at least one finding dating back to the Old Kingdom where hieratic writing um, was used, and then this one that we're seeing is written in demotic, which is a part of the exact tree. So you have the hieroglyph. The hieratic is a cursive um, type um, modification of hieroglyphs, and then also demotic. Demotic is used for official capacity, scribes, accounting. It's a lot faster. So nonetheless, over 40 in the past 6 years, over 40,000 of pieces like this have been found. This was a huge finding. Also, hieratic with hieroglyph, hieratic, and demotic. So this was a hugely impactful find, as you will see further as we move along. Athribis. Athribis is on the west side of the Nile. That's where these have all been found, and you can see it's about 37 miles north of Abydos, and Abydos is one of the most important places for Kemetic archaeology and spirituality, because here are buried the pharaohs of the first dynasties, Dynasty 0, Dynasty 1, perhaps Dynasty 2 as well. Several of them are buried here. So that's really an important location. Athribis is in the part of the larger Sohag area. So Athribis is really an important place for archaeology, and it's in the upper Nile, so in the heartland of ancient Egypt, Kemet. This image, what I did was to just kind of give you a conceptualization of what happened, to kind of point out the bigger picture here that will clarify the importance of these findings, because this is a hugely impactful finding. These ostraca are going to tell us so much about the daily operations. I would say particularly about a scribe. But one of the most important aspects of all of this, perhaps the most important aspect of all of this, is the reconstruction of the temple of Min and Repyt. This this female deity, Repyt, she's one of the lion-headed goddesses. There are several cat goddesses. She's one of the lion-headed goddesses, and her complement is the deity Min. Min is popular in the souvenir shops around Egypt. Min is a god of fertility, and I think that's stating it simply. He's representing our drive, right? Our drive to procreate and such. Ancient Egyptians, they have a very strong affinity for men. Before the Luxor temple was in that exact same location, there was a temple to men in that same location. So the worship, the cult to men, or probably the entire sweep of Kemetic history. And here we find it in the Ptolemaic period. Ptolemy XII ruled in this time the temple of Min and Repyt. And there's a current project, the Athribis um, project, and they are the ones who reconstructed the temple. If you look here to the left of the temple, you see the learning center. So this is me throwing in my own conceptualization of what probably happened here, and I think so. What's happening either to the west or the east of the temple, that part is not really clear. There was a receiving center, right, where they may receive things that may be used in the temple, or send things out, um, send things out. So I think that that's what you're finding, and that's why you're finding the ostraca that have the demotic, the everyday language of business and things that need to be done quickly. Now here towards the bottom of the image, you see the settlement area, the reconstruction of the temple, the settlement area, and the ostraca that were all found together. This is the reconstruction of the ostraca. And you can see it up against the mountains, and they've done an excellent job of reconstructing this to give us an idea of how the temple must have looked. Right in the exact same area are living quarters, and I get the impression that these were an actual settlement. So you have in the settlement the temple to Min and Repyt. You have the area where the ostraca found, which I conceive as being some type of education center, reception center, maybe before you enter the area of the temple. Now, very near here is where they found the ostraca, and I want to read this piece. And they interviewed the head of the Athribis project. His name is Christian Lates, and let's hear what he had to say. The Ashtka show us an astonishing variety of everyday situations, says Lates. We find tax lists and deliveries, along with short notes about everyday activities, exercises by school children, religious texts, and priestly certificates attesting the quality of sacrificial animals. This is definitely an educational. This is an intercommunication zones here, and I think these are scribes in training to become priests. I'll read further. This mixture is what makes the find so valuable, Lates adds. This everyday content gives us a direct insight into the lives of the people of Athribis and makes the ostraca an important source for a comprehensive social history of the region. So most of the writing was in Demotic. There was a good bit in hieratic and also some in hieroglyphs, but it appears that a lot of the hieroglyphic writing is just simply training, practice writing on the back of ostraca that are going to be thrown out, and it's much cheaper than papyrus. This is also one of the ostraca, and according to the Athribis project, this is a deity named Her, and that name Her, and you might also hear Hor, that relates to Heru. So Her relates to Heru, and Heru is Heru later in life, a seasoned Heru, an old Heru at a different age in life. And you can see it's the looks like the crocodile. So these again 43,000 ostraca, demotic, hieroglyphic writing the name of the local deities. What is the significance of all of this? Because what I see is clarity on the curriculum and training of the scribes. Um, these are lower functioning officials and students, it appears. And that is really important. This book, Stolen Legacy, it's Greek philosophy stolen from Egyptian philosophy. And this is one of the first books on Kemet I've ever read. I'll put the link for this in the description box. But in this book, George James talked a lot about the curriculum of the scribes, the curriculum that that even the Greek writers wrote about when they visited Kemet. So I think that that is one of the really important aspects of this finding is that I think by the time it all shakes out, we'll really be able to see how much of this of these findings were dedicated to things like receiving um, commodities and exchange of commodities and food from that angle, but also the socialization and training of the scribes, perhaps in training to become priests. And there is a living quarters. I'll go back to it. The living quarters that were found there. So I think we're going to come to find out that there's an educational center established here. Nonetheless, that's my perspective. Thank you all for listening. Again, my name, Dr. Perry Kyles. Subscribe to the channel. Visit Kemet101.com to learn more about our tours. Learn the secrets that were excluded from your history books. Join the Kemet 101 educational tour to Egypt with Dr. Perry Kyles. Explore inside the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Walk in the path of the ingenious Lady Pharaoh Hatshepsut and the brave warrior Ramses II. Experience this archaeological journey and spiritual retreat. Click the link in the description box and join our next Kemet 101 educational tour.